Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Now, we do a lot with Bikeshop Rivonia, the massive dealership, well, in Rivonia. And we always find some very interesting stuff there. Now, this is something that's maybe not that unique, but very interesting for some simple reasons. We found a 2021 KTM Super Duke 1290 GT. And it's on the showroom floor there for 199,000 Rand. That's a 2021 model. It's got 28,000 kilometers on the clock. And what is so interesting about this motorcycle is that, well, as you're to find later on the show, there's a few interesting bits about it that it just sort of clashes with. And also, I've never ridden one. So let's have a look. And here it is. So let's get this straight. The Super Duke is all about being as badass as a Cobra Kai sensei after 15 double brandies. It's not about massaging your ego, or helping you along, or getting in your good books. No, the Super Duke doesn't care about any of that. It doesn't care about anything at all. Just hold on and do your best. Some people don't like that sort of thing in their motorcycles, and that's understandable. If you're the sort that thinks that roller coasters are dull, and The Exorcist was a lovely family drama, then the Super Duke is for you. This though is the GT. It's much the same as the Super Duke, but instead of knuckle dusters, it's wearing a set of pink slippers and a tracksuit. Most obvious is the addition of a screen, something famously lacking on the super naked Super Duke. The handlebars are also a little different, and of course there are those two panniers jutting out the side. There's cruise control and connectivity to your cell phone. The WP suspension is electronically adjustable with variable preload and damping. The idea is that you can either set it for a single rider and a pillion, or a rider, a pillion, and full luggage. The heavier the load, the more damping that is required. Yeah, and the guys at Bikeshop Rivonia set it on its hardest setting. Just for me. Busters. Annoyingly, the extra hard suspension felt pretty damn good. Like me, the GT isn't the lightest of creatures, weighing in at 225 kilograms with all liquids on board. Mind you, that includes a weightier 23-litre fuel tank designed to take you down longer roads. Yet it can go around roads that are twisty, even roads that go in a circle. And that's why the rider modes include a track mode. Yes indeed, on the Sport Tourer there is a track mode. In fact, more interesting is, is this picture over here. This was a press release set out by the KTM factory to celebrate the 2019 GT model. And as you can see, it's two people knee sliding around a racetrack. That's very, very, very KTM-like. The frame is, of course, steel, because that's what KTM does. The big difference between this and the standard Super Duke is a stronger subframe designed to take pillions, luggage, and larger than average journalists. It's not the easiest handling motorcycle in the world, but it is stable. In a world of touring, stability is the important thing. That doesn't mean you can't hook it through turns, because you definitely can. While some extra muscle is required to tip the scales, you'll be rewarded with a motorcycle that'll go exactly where you want it to, without drama. Well, not entirely without drama. Now, you might notice that we're doing this show a little bit differently. I mean, normally when we do these road tests, it's obviously it's voiceover, it's a few shots of maybe me talking to the camera saying something stupid, but a lot of it is onboard footage with an onboard mic, an onboard camera, mostly of me screaming. We're not doing that today for a very simple reason. I mean, we had it all set up to go, and as I came around the corners on the right road, there was a long stream of traffic, and in front of that, a roadblock, police roadblock. So I did what first world countries do. I lane split it down the side. So anyway, I got to the front, and lo and behold, a very angry policeman pulls me over, gets all very aggressive with me and accuses me of evading police. I'm like, well, evading police? What are you talking about? It's going, why were you going past the traffic like that? Why weren't you in the queue? I said, I'm lane splitting. It's what motorcycles do. No, you're trying to get past all the police. You're evading police. They wanted to arrest me. But I'm not surprised. You look at this bike coming down, and normally they ignore motorcycles. Normally I'm on my little Ferrari, or I'm on a road test bike, and it's all pretty meek and mild, you know, from outside. But this thing came hauling down, going whom, 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 with its thunderous sound, and it's just, yeah, it actually, come to think of it, I just did look like a target for police. But yeah, anyway, so they kept me there for nearly an hour. I had to talk them out of trying to arrest me. Eventually, one of the cops recognized me from the TV show, so that kind of saved my bacon. So sorry about doing this a bit differently, but it's all the GT's fault. Yeah, the growl of the 1290 KTM is indeed legendary. Partially it has to do with the 75-degree angle between the cylinders, which is somewhat unique. Usually they're either parallel twin or 90 degrees, or 180 degrees if you're German and like propellers. This might have its touring aspects, but what we have seen with the 2-up knee sliding, this machine still has a big sports element amongst the touring. It pushes 173 horsepower, which is grand, but more so, it cranks out 141 Nm of torque, which means that top speed isn't really the goal here, but rather the journey of getting there. The acceleration, the sound, the feel, it all combines to create one of the greatest experiences in motorcycling. So far all is going well, but there's no such thing as perfect. There are a few snags. One is the quick shifter, that feels a touch clunky and clumsy, which is a bit strange because KTM's quick shifters are normally pretty good. What KTM does suck at though are its seats, that are normally 10 steps too hard, even on their non-sport motorcycles. And while I've experienced KTM seats that are certainly worse than this one, it could be a lot cushier. These niggles might be annoying, but they disappear into oblivion the moment you open the throttle, and the savage bliss that is that KTM motor is unleashed. This might be a 4-year-old motorcycle, yet somehow used bikes from top dealerships always seem to be like new. Whether the previous owners were just pedantic with upkeep, or Bikeshop Rivonia went all in with getting their stock up to scratch. But what we keep reminding ourselves is that this is a used motorcycle. KTM will be launching a 1390 version of the GT sometime in the near future. But until then, there's nothing wrong with a good old 1290. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Super Duke GT coming to you from Bikeshop Rivonia. It's on their floor now. Go and have a look. Now, coming up after the break is some very interesting news from Bikeshop Rivonia that ties in with this very nicely. And then in the third part of the show, we have an old friend telling us a lot of very interesting things about this very motorcycle. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you might recognize this man, Mr. James Ridley from Bikeshop Rivonia. But weirdly, we're not at Bikeshop Rivonia, are we?
Certainly not. We're proud to be sitting in the current KTM Rad showroom in Rivonia.
Now, I mean, okay, dare I ask, what exactly are you, Mr. Bikeshop Rivonia, doing at KTM Rad?
Well, we want to just firstly take you through who Rad is. So Rad is one of the oldest KTM dealers based in Rivonia. Originally started off as the importer with Butch Hirsch.
And that was weird. I mean, this is in the 70s when KTM first started. It was, in fact, down the road here.
It was, and that was where I started. I was born in Rivonia, and I've always been to that store, and I bought from them when I was a teenager, and It's really a privilege to be sitting inside such a store with such history and heritage.
Now, okay, I see they've got a bunch of work busy going on up top there. What exactly is going on?
Well, Rad at the moment is in a position of moving from where it is in Revonia to a new destination in Revonia. And that's the exciting part that I want to tell you more about.
A new place in Revonia?
Well, Not so new to new, but new for everyone else. We're going to be collaborating with KTM and Miguel. It's a owner-run store, and I've always had a very good working relationship with them. And we've decided to bring them into our center, similar to that of Bike King, slightly different. They're still a standalone store, but there'll be a collaboration, more customer-centric, and dare I say, I've mentioned a couple of times to you before, turning our store into a motorcycle mall.
So hang on, wait, you standalone, I mean what? Are you building walls in the middle of your showroom? What's happening?
It's almost hard to explain. Can I show you?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, that was a quick journey.
Certainly.
Now, I recognize this place. This is where your shop used to be before you went bigger.
That's right. So we're next door, and we're now taking back this space and putting in Rad KTM.
It's okay. Explain how this kind of works. You say it's a collaboration between you and Rad.
So we're going to be working very closely together. We're going to have workshops that will be divided, but working together, we'll be able to offer all new service offerings, service plans, warranty work, and just collaborate in every possible way, all to focus on the vision of being a motorcycle mall. A one-stop shop from A to Z. We've got the accessories, the pre-owned, the new bikes.
Yeah. Now you're not taking over Rad Moto. Miguel is the owner.
He's still running the show. It's still his business. We're just going to work very closely together. Similar type fashion to what we currently have with Bike Kings.
Oh, good news. So now, all right, KTM, it's been in the news a bit. You know, I mean, there has been a few headlines going around by KTM. So why KTM?
Well, there's so much exciting stuff coming, and not everyone knows about it yet. But KTM's reinventing itself. It's a phenomenal product. We all know that. Team Orange is amazing. It's a privilege to be part of it on many levels. But they are bringing so many new dynamics and a lot of value offerings that will be unique to South Africa and countries like ours. So some incredible deals on a year or two old brand new motorcycles. Of course, the all new 1390 range that's coming. So watch this space. KTM has great things to come. That I'm sure of.
Fantastic. Now it's going to be more than just a shop next to yours. There's walls being broken down. So although it's a different shop, it's all going to be sort of connected.
All part of the collaboration is to work together. So there'll be walls coming down. You'll be able to enter each showroom from each other's showrooms. So there will be different entrances, but once you're in the shop, you can travel straight through to Bikeshop or Bike Kings, and more stuff to come. And of course, Car Shop Rivonia as well. So it's cars, bikes, boats, jet skis, KTM new, pre-owned, everything.
Accessories, the works.
Anything you need, we're going to have it. That's the plan.
There we go. Okay, well, wonderful news. And last question is, when is all this happening?
It's happening now.
Yeah.
In the next couple of days, we'll be up and running.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Please pop down to Rivonia for what is becoming more and more like a motorcycle mall. It's going to be good fun.
Welcome back. Now, before the break, I was riding KTM's Super Duke R, a mad, naked bike that is known as the Beast. What do you do if you want something very similar, but just with a little bit more added comfort and practicality? The answer to that question is this. It's the GT version of the Super Duke R. It's the same sort of bike, but for people with a brain. Or rather for the sort of person who doesn't take his brain out when he goes riding. The more well-rounded person who might look at this backdrop and think, that looks fascinating and full of history, I'd like to learn more, rather than the sort of person who looks at this space and thinks, wow, what a great place for a burnout, I'd love to listen to the V-twin bouncing off the walls. This is Berchtesgaden, a picturesque town in the Bavarian Alps, a small part of Germany that is almost completely surrounded by Austria. It is also famous for the rather unfortunate reason that the Nazis loved this place, including that freaky psycho Hitler bloke who had himself a holiday spot on a mountain overlooking the town that was known as the Eagle's Nest. Thankfully, the only Austrian beasts wandering these parts nowadays are 1290 KTMs. It's the naked bike we saw before the break that has been christened the Beast, but there's still plenty of that DNA inside this sport touring GT. Big V-twin with loads of horsepower, chrome moly tubular frame including a strengthened subframe for bigger loads, WP forks upside down but semi-active this time, single side swing arm of course, and hidden away all the black boxes for the electronics, which means that this is a sport tourer that even has a track mode. There's undoubtedly plenty in here that will satisfy the sport rider, but what about the touring part of the equation? Well, obviously there's the panniers, which are smart, very easy to use and possibly a touch on the small side. There's an adjustable screen too, which means you can get yourself nicely out of the wind. Heated grips and seats on this model packed with all the extras from KTM's Power Parts catalogue, and cruise control and the ability to switch between different ride modes or damping presets for the suspension, all while on the move of course. You'll be able to glide along in perfect harmony with your better half, ogling all the lovely sights, convincing her that you are in fact a perfect, friendly, deeply caring sort of eco-tourist kind of guy, and she will love you for it. But what about when your better half is spending your money on a spa treatment at the hotel and you've nipped out to do a bit of touring the old-fashioned way? Will the bike still be fun down a twisty road? Oh yes. Oh yes indeed. This road has got more twists and turns than a Dan Brown novel, and still the GT has not lost the plot. And I think a lot of that is down to the way the semi-active suspension reads the road. Adjusting the suspension to account for the fact that all your luggage and the handbrake is back at the hotel is simply a matter of pushing some buttons. The same goes for other variables like throttle response and traction control sensitivity. What I particularly like is the ability to mix and match these settings. So at the moment I've got track level of throttle response. I've dialed down the traction control so it doesn't interfere too much. I've turned the anti-wheelie off, and I've combined all these sport settings with the comfort level of damping because it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a bumpy road. I love doing this without ever having to get off the bike or even stopping. So that means I never have to embarrass myself trying to set up the suspension and wondering whether I should be using a screwdriver or a spanner or a hammer. I've ridden BMW's updated S1000XR recently and that was very good. And although it might not feel quite as punchy and in your face as this, it did feel a lot more smooth and refined, especially at normal touring speeds. But it had a silly bucket seat, so the KTM at least has a comfort advantage in that respect.
Well, maybe, but only just. The seating position is good for sport riding, but I'm not convinced for touring. Even the power sports seat is a bit too hard. The foot pegs, well, they're slightly too high and slightly too far back, so it pitches you forward a bit, and that puts too much weight on your wrists, because also the handlebars a little bit too low. So for me, for long distance touring, I prefer the riding position of BMW's S1000XR. But when you get to the mountains, well, then I prefer this riding position.
This is a seriously capable sport tourer, of that there is no doubt. But is it any better than BMW's XR or Ducati's Multistrada? Perhaps in some areas, but all three of these bikes are stupendously good. And if that sounds too much like fence sitting, then here's a bit of clarification. I'd just take the Super Duke R actually. I'd throw in some soft luggage for the touring, maybe a little bit of screen for wind protection, and once you want to stop looking at all the lovely scenery and just travel through it really quickly, then the R is just way more fun. And it's cheaper and better looking. I mean, who needs a brain anyway? A Super Duke R in the garage is worth a brain on a GT or something. The KTMs, as I said, both amazing, really. That's all there is to say to it. The naked bike in particular, obviously Don will be very chuffed, because I think just by an edge now, especially for the road, I do prefer the KTM Super Duke, simply because a big massive V-twin with all that well of readily available torque is such a pleasure to ride on the road. Are there any negatives? Are there any downsides to the KTM path? Well, in terms of the road, yes, in a way. If you think about other naked bikes like the R, even if we talk about the GT, if you talk about its competitors, whether they be the Multistrada or the XR in particular, BMW's version, 4 cylinders, they can be ridden very easily, very smoothly, and this applies to the S1000R, the naked bike, at low RPM. So if you happen to find yourself chugging through a village, which you do here in Europe a lot, I mean, speed limits are 50 k's an hour through villages. Outside of the villages can be 60 or 70 k's an hour before it opens up a little bit. So you do find yourself doing these low speeds, and inevitably you find yourself in a higher gear. So in something like 6th gear on the KTM, it's not even usable until you're hitting about 80 k's an hour. So you're not chugging through at really low RPM like you can do on the 4-cylinder bikes. It's all shuddery and jumping around and will stall on you. It's all a bit mechanical and agricultural. But, you know, wow, so you have to change gear at those sort of RPM. Talking of which, we have said in the past that KTM's quick shifter is perhaps a little bit better than BMW's. I'm not convinced anymore. All these systems are utterly superb, fantastically smooth when you're at high RPM, in the top third of the rev range. In the middle, they're bearable. At low RPM, I just completely ignore them, because it's much easier to do it the old-fashioned way, blip the throttle, use the clutch. And the nice thing is the electronics don't get confused. It's very easy to just take over and do it yourself. So they're all pretty much of a muchness, actually. We'll see you again next week, when the presenter won't be Spock. It'll be Donovan, of which I'm sure you'll be very glad indeed. We'll see you then.